Folks, you were hoping for another exciting transfer? Well, you got one.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black. I'm the editor of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Network. Thank you for joining our show, the only daily Boston College podcast out there. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better than with FanDuel. Now, customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Win or lose, visit FanDuel.com to get yourself started. It's a big transfer day here. We're going to talk about the newest transfer Boston College landed. Who is he? What does it mean? How does this affect the offense? What does the offense look like? I'm going to get into all of that on today's show. It's a jam-packed one. I think you guys are going to really enjoy. So strap in and let's get started. Now, last week, if you are a fan of our show, you know that I had already been talking about Ty Lockwood, a tight end from Alabama, a 2023 recruit, a four-star teammate of Dylan Larnagin, who's also a Boston College commitment transfer from Alabama. Well, I knew that he was going to be visiting Boston College on Wednesday to Friday for his official visit. What I did not know was that he was going to commit before he took his official visit. On Tuesday afternoon, word broke from Matt Zenitz and Chris Hummer of our 247 national team that he had already signed with BC. Actually found out from BC themselves right before that. And he's officially an Eagle. This is not even a commitment. This is he's signed. He is a Boston College Eagle. He will be here for the spring semester. This is a big get for Boston College. You folks, I know there's a little bit of hesitancy of getting some of these FCS players, guys like Favor Bates and Anya Nwisi and Chuck Nato, all who played for, Elons and Valpo and Merrimack. You wanted to get some higher profile recruits to transfer here. Well, Ty Lockwood hits that to a T, because when he was a 247 2023 top 250 recruit, he was recruited by everybody. He was originally committed to Ohio State. He then flipped his commitment to Alabama, where he was going to be coached by then offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien. And then I believe he was an assistant, now Boston College offensive coordinator, Will Lawing. So he knows the BC staff very well. He also knows Dylan Larnagin. He's part of the same recruiting class. Covering recruiting, these guys know each other. They come to games together. They work out together once they get on campus. So he and Dylan, when Dylan Larnagin tweeted out, "There it is," that should have been a big sign, because Larnagin came here because Bill O'Brien was partially because Bill O'Brien is here. I think he wanted to bring his friend with him too. This is a complete package. This reminds me a little bit, and I hate bringing this up, of Phil Dracovic and Jalen Gill. In that you're now getting two top 200 recruits to transfer to your school. And hey, Dracovic, he fell off a cliff at the end, but when he started, he got a lot of excitement to this program. And Gill, he did his part too at times. He wasn't like the most outstanding wide receiver, but this kind of reminds me of the same thing. Bill O'Brien started late, so he didn't get to make his home run transfer pitches until his first season was done. And now he has his Alabama guys. And for the folks that are like, wow, Alabama, Bill O'Brien is doing something special here, I'd ask you, I think you should be a little bit more, take a bigger picture of what actually is happening. Because yes, he's grabbing some Alabama guys. That's great. Both guys are lower on the depth chart. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. They're both highly recruited players with high upsides. That's something great. Jeff Hafley did the exact same thing, but with Ohio State. Ohio State and Alabama are basically a similar school in terms of prestige. They are. I mean, Ohio State's a little bit behind, but they're both bringing in the same level of recruits. So this isn't like a new novel concept at Boston College. Remember, Hafley brought in, just off the top of my head, he brought in Gill, Ryan Turner, Cam Martinez, I'm probably blanking on one right now, but he had a couple from Ohio State too. So he knows the guys. The guys know him, just like what O'Brien's doing with Bama. So that's kind of what's going on here. Now, um, I think this is nice because I do like, and I've said this before, the FCS guys. I think there's something to be said about getting guys to BC that are hungry, that are willing to put in the work, who haven't had anything given to them, to earn it. Like, obviously, that again, we go back to what Bill O'Brien's message is: earn it. These guys are going to come to earn it, and so they're coming in, and a guy like Chuck Nato is going to be thrown into the depth chart, the mix at defensive end, or defensive tackle, excuse me, and he's going to get a chance. But I do get where you're coming from, where you want to get blue chip recruits too, because they may have the highest upside. Ty Lockwood hasn't really played a whole lot. He has one catch for 5 yards. He got injured his senior season in high school, so he's been battling back from that. So I think it's fair to say you may want to be a little bit more cautious. I see people calling this like the biggest recruit BC's landed in years and whatever. I mean, fine, you can. Just, he's going to have to earn it too. He's in the same boat as all these other kids. And some of these other kids have done honestly a little bit more. Ty Lockwood has one catch for 5 yards. He's played 37 snaps. The talent is there. You read the scouting reports on 247. They call him, a two-way tight end that can block, that can catch. So clearly it's there. We just haven't seen it at the college level yet. And, a tight end is a perfect, the way that Bill O'Brien used Jeremiah Franklin, used Kamari Morales last year, this is a perfect get for BC. They needed somebody. They only had, Jeremiah Franklin coming back, who has improved tremendously every year, and has become a real asset for them. But then after that, it's Matt Reagan, who I think he's probably played about the same amount of snaps that Lockwood has. So you needed some depth there, and they got that. I like that. I'm not sure what his ceiling is going to be. I would love to see him become the next Hunter Long. Obviously, you'd love to see that. But what can he do? We're gonna have to wait to see practice. Like, how does he work up the depth chart? How does he fit in with this offense? How does he mesh with Grayson James? How is he in blocking? There's a lot that goes into this. And the chance to be, if they're going to do a lot of 1-2, one running back, two tight end sets, he's going to have a chance to play a lot if he can earn it. Now, in our second segment, I want to talk about what this means. Again, I'm going to kind of dive in a little bit more, and I want to ask a question because it seems like it's been kind of an issue. Is it been an issue at Boston College with tight end recruiting? We'll get into all of that in just a moment. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It's happens together all in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. For me, one of the best features is the subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services I wasn't even using anymore, and I've already saved a ton. Plus, with their gold feature, I've been able to automatically set aside for my future. No more stressing about budgeting every month. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. This is Locked On Boston College. AJ Black of Eagle Insider. Thank you all who have made Locked On Boston College your first listen every day. And if you're looking for a second listen, let me tell you about Locked On Celtics, with the Celtics having a little bit of up and down here, but still pushing for that banner 19. John Corrales has it all covered on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, let's get into a little bit here. Ty Lockwood. 6'5", 250 pounds. Obviously, he's got the frame to be a standout tight end. And when you look at the depth chart at what Boston College had, I kind of alluded to this in the first section segment. You have Jeremiah Franklin. You have Jeremiah Franklin, who could tip. I honestly believe could potentially be all ACC next year. He just continues to grow. I've been very impressed with his pass catching. He's grown a ton in terms of blocking too. A really valuable tight end for the Eagles. But I can see where the staff is worried about next year, because after that you have Matt Reagan, who has been banged up during camp. I think he got banged up during the season. Haven't seen him much at all. And we know that O'Brien likes to go with two tight end sets a lot. Now, he could change. Obviously, offenses can adapt to the personnel that's in front of them. But even if that's the case, tight end's a physical position. Guys get banged up. You're going to need depth. And BC is building depth. I mean, they brought in 3 true freshmen in the class of 2025, but it's young depth. They don't have a ton of established tight ends. Now, their big miss was a high 3-star tight end from Governor's Academy, Holden Simmons, who had to medically retire after last year, the year before. So, that year, that was your tight end that you brought in. He didn't get he didn't work out. So you missed there. Then last year, you brought in Ryan Boltwood, a JUCO from California. He still has some time left. I watched him at camp. I don't think he's there yet, and I'm not sure what he's going to bring. I'm not sure what level of talent he has. We just have to wait to see it. But again, he's unproven. Then you have 3 true freshmen. You have Bryce Lewis, the son of Tim Lewis, the defensive coordinator, DJ Johnson from Louisiana, and Stevie Amar from California, all true freshmen. If you're just going off of what you've seen from senior year, Stevie Amar, in terms of pass catching, he's it. He's that guy. He's him. Okay. But you never know. It's developing. But again, they're all true freshmen. And if I remember correctly, all of them are enrolling in the fall. So you're going in pretty thin. You needed guys. You brought in Zeke Moore, but he's more like an inside, inline blocking fullback almost. He's not the size that you want to be a pass catching tight end. And he's had 7 catches over 3 seasons. So he doesn't fit that need. He needed to bring somebody else in. Now, BC looked at Mason Minnie from Idaho. Honestly, I think Ty Lockwood's a better fit. Now, both of them probably have similar. I think Minnie actually probably has a little bit more experience, but he's from Idaho. I'll take the guy that's been working out with Kalen DeBoer and Nick Saban, and who was recruited by Nick Saban. I just trust Nick Saban a little bit more than, no offense, the head coach of Idaho. So Mason Minnie, he committed yesterday or the day before to Michigan State. So he visited BC, but he left. Lockwood's here. That gives you your 2 tight ends. Still a little thin there, but they guys can build up and develop, and maybe there's a guy that steps up. That can happen. Now, the big question for me, as I kind of went over the development of this room, what's going on with developing tight ends for BC? Because if you go back at Boston College over the last 6 years, it seems like it's been transfer. At starting at tight ends, you have guys like Trey Berry, George Takis, Kamari Morales, George Takis again. It's been 4 or 5 years. It's been since Hunter Long, since BC's had a homegrown tight end that has been consistently starting. Jeremiah Franklin started, I think it was the year Takis got hurt. But I think he was a true freshman that year. He was a young guy. He had his bumps. So, but it has been overwhelmingly transfers. And I think, credit to Bill O'Brien and his staff, they noticed that. I'm assuming they noticed that. And Bill O'Brien is using the portal. He's doing what he needs to fill the gaps on his team. But he has said, and he has stuck by, that recruiting is his lifeblood of his program. That is what's going to build the depth and culture of BC football. And he went out and got 3 tight ends. So clearly he saw that he needed tight ends and he needed defensive tackles because he got 3 at each position. That has been a problem. So I think this is going to turn around. I think this is going to be a position where, you know, you're not going to miss out on some of the guys that you were hoping for and have to get, you know, guys at the end of a recruiting class or struggle in the transfer portal because you don't want to have to do that every year. Tight ends aren't the worst thing to go out in the portal and get. BC, I mean, Trey Berry was hurt. George Takis, he had his drops and his injuries too. But Kamari Morales was a slam dunk. That was a great get for BC. And I thought when he, at times Takis was okay too. You can get good ones out there, but it's so much easier when you develop your own guys. So that's where things are at. Now, will BC continue to be active in the portal? They will. I don't think they're done yet. Remember, they're going to pretty much go right up until classes start. And classes start in about a week. So I'm expecting if they're going to get anybody else, it's going to be this weekend. I think this weekend we might see some more names pop up if they are still continuing. And I know the staff is evaluating guys that are entering the portal. There's still guys entering the portal, but they got to be in before the start of classes because that's it's an academic institution. You're not going to start kids off late and then expect them to just figure things out. So I still think they're going to potentially look at offensive line. I think is the big one. I have not, edge rusher. I think they still look at, but those are expensive. Hopefully they can find someone that fits that. But I honestly, at this point, if you were to ask me who's going to visit this weekend, I would say I don't know. I've not seen any indication that there's anyone that's rising to that level yet. It's a lot of just checking out film and evaluating from there. But there's a lot of roster movement. I mean, I just put it down as a nugget. If you guys want to know what you get at 247, I'll give you a little nugget right now. I did a depth chart on offense and defense. And one piece that I did not know about, but I reached out and I got confirmation, is that Bug Jones and Jalen Williams are not. They're done after this year. They're graduating and then moving on. So two guys that have not officially entered the portal, but they're not going to be on the roster. So you get that kind of details here. So like there's spots that are still opening, and I expect that after spring camp, we might get some more transfers as well out and in as guys kind of figure out where their spots are. And hopefully, if Bill sees something during camp and says, that's not working, we need to get something here, that they can go out there and figure that out. Now, in our final segment, I want to look at the state of the offense. What I think right now going into 2025 is their strengths and weaknesses, and talk about a little bit about that as we wrap things up. We'll be back in just a moment. This is Locked On Boston College, AJ Black. Thank you all who have made Locked On Boston College your first listen every day. And if you have subscribed on YouTube, we are up over 2,030 subscribers up on the site. It's great. Thank you all who have done so. And if you have not done so already, check us out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Also, check out Locked On ACC with Alex Dono and Kenton Gibbs on YouTube, where we get podcasts. They're talking everything ACC, and there's a lot going on right now. So let's wrap things up. This I felt was the cherry on top of what should be a very exciting Boston College offense heading into 2025. You knew that you're getting Grayson James and Dylan Larnigan coming back to battle in camp, and as I keep saying, we don't know who's going to win that right now. My presumptive is James, just because he's been here and he's proven that he can do it. But you never know what Larnigan's upside is. You never know what he can do. I love the running back room that you have with Turbo Richard and Jordan McDonald. You get some exciting freshmen. Don't sleep on Bo McCormick and Mekhi Dodd coming in too. And Alex Brim is returning from a knee injury. Running back room is very exciting. There's a lot of talent there. I mean, this is not a knock on Kai Robichaux because I loved watching him play. I said that on our review episode of the season. But Turbo Richard has the potential to take that running back room to the next level. I'm not saying like AJ Dillon level, like of greatness, but like he's explosive to a level that we haven't seen in a couple of years. So he is someone I think a lot of folks are going to get really excited about in 2025. The offensive line, I think, is a work in progress, but I am not as dire as some may feel about this group. I watching that game against in the Pinstripe Bowl, I saw things that I think I needed to see at different spots. It wasn't obviously wasn't great, but guys like Ryan Mickow, I think with another spring and summer ahead of him, is going to be ready to start. Kevin Klein has taken those steps to get himself to the level that he could probably start. You have Logan Taylor and you have Jude Bowery. The other spot, Eric Stoggerty or Amir Johnson or another transfer. Again, I say this is a spot where you may want to add another body to transfer there, but I am not at the spot where I know some folks are like, this group is going to be terrible. I trust Matt Applebaum to develop guys. He's taken guys like Jack Conley and made him all ACC. He's taken guys like even Kevin Klein. I just mentioned him. A real liability in 2022 to serviceable that last year. Like he gets these guys up there. And he's got the bodies and the guys to do it. So I think offensive line is going to get there. It's not going to be the greatest offensive line that you've ever seen, but it's not going to be a humongous liability like 2022, in my opinion. We talked about tight ends at length. With Jeremiah Franklin, again, I'm saying a potential all ACC level tight end to go with Ty Lockwood or Matt Reagan. You're going to be able to do a lot of the things that you did last year. And what you did last year, once you got Grayson James in there, I almost call him Grayson Allen, Grayson James in there, the tight end room really kind of took off. And they should have been used even more. And maybe that's a conversation that happens this spring and summer because I thought those guys deserve to get the ball even more in some of those spots. But, going into next year, you have the guys to do what you want to do. And then finally, the wide receiver room. Jaden Skeet was hurt. Like you missed him at the end of last year. You've lost Jerron Bradley and Jaden McGowan, who, credit to Bradley for that catch against Western Kentucky. Other than that, we really didn't see a whole lot out of him. And Jaden McGowan never really got a chance here. It was never, I thought this was a kid that was going to be explosive. He's small, but get him the ball. Maybe he'd be able to do some things in space. He never got that chance. But the guys that you are bringing back, you're going to have Lewis Bond, tough as nails, guy that can do a whole lot for you. You know what he's going to do. Reed Harris, who was the story, as I said, the unsung hero, not unsung hero, most improved player from last year, kind of came completely out of nowhere during camp. And by the end of the year, he's mossing guys left and right to make huge touchdown catches. He is that guy. Like he is going to be your ace receiver. Bond's going to do a lot of the dirty stuff and get a lot of those big catches. Maybe not the flashiest plays, but he's going to do it. And then Jaden Skeet was hurt last year. We don't know what the injury was, but he was out. I think it was the Louisville game on. Never saw him again. Hopefully he'll be back. We have not gotten any updates on him. I know he's not in the portal. He's just hurt, but him coming back will be big. Also, I thought the staff adding Jonathan Montague was smart because he was never going to be quarterback. And he's developing. I talk about the thing about this program that is so exciting that you should be looking forward to that makes BC what it is development. Jonathan Montague went into last summer and I watched him at camp. He did not know where to line up. And he was still doing that early in the season. I think it was the Michigan State game. There was a time where Lewis Bond was like yelling at him to where to go because he didn't know what to do. By the end, they had started to use him in a way that made him successful. And I have faith that with a whole offseason behind him, he's going to be a valuable wide receiver. You have a ton of young guys coming in at wide receiver that I really am looking forward to. Guys like Samaj Fleming, Nedrick Bolden, and Dawson Powell. These are all guys I think that could be really good for BC. Bolden is coming early. I think Samaj Fleming is too. But they're going to get plugged in. You have other guys on your depth chart, but I think wide receiver maybe a little thin on terms of experience, but you got some talent there. So I'm looking at this offense. I'm saying to myself, real strength of this team next year. You've got you're really, other than maybe a little step back maybe a step back at the offensive line position, you're really, I think, improving at a lot of spots. If Turbo Richard can stay healthy, if he can be your ace back, you're improved there. No offense to Kai. Kai was tough as nails, did a whole lot, but Turbo adds a whole nother level to your running back room. You have all these other positions. I think, tight end maybe is a little bit lower because of Kamari Morales, but overall, I think that the room itself is set up for success. I think the entire offense is set up, and it's up to Will Long to use them and to maximize the talent that he has in front of him. So Ty Lockwood, excellent get for exciting get. I don't want to say this is a big get because we do not know what he can do yet, but it's exciting because of what his ceiling could be. I think that's what I'm going to be saying about this. It's exciting. And it's a big get for Bill O'Brien to bring anyone in from Bama because it's an optics thing. Folks get excited. I'm telling you, folks, when I read an article about a transfer from Merrimack versus a transfer from Alabama, I bet you can all guess what gets the most interactions, what gets the most clicks. It gets the most eyeballs on the team. I'm telling you that right now. You shouldn't be doing that all the time, but you do it when you can. All right, I'll be back again tomorrow to talk more about the transfer portal. I said this weekend could be big. If there's more news that pops, here on Locked On Boston College, I will have that all covered. Thank you all who have listened. Thank you who have all subscribed on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll be back again tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Boston College, your team every day.